Good afternoon. I am David Anderson, the bridge pastor for the rest of this week of Sylvania United Church of Christ, and I welcome you to this Keeping in Touch. This will be my last session, and I looked up before we started and realized that we've been doing this weekly for 5 months already. Unbelievable. But it's a way we have of trying to keep the congregation and friends of the congregation up to date with programs that are occurring at the church or occurring online or in whatever means. And so today we have our staff to bring us up to date, and I think maybe we'll begin with Kristen, who will tell us about a couple of outreach programs.
Yes, thank you, David. So on Saturday, August 29th at the church in the front Circle Drive, there will be a donation drive event from 10 a.m. until 12 noon. We are collecting food, non-perishable food items, as well as personal care items such as toilet paper, toothpaste, toothbrushes, laundry detergent for Sylvania Area Family Services. So that is Saturday, August 29th from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. We ask that you come into that Circle Drive, stay in your car, either pop the trunk or we can open a side door, get the items out, and you'll be on your way. So this is a great way for us to help a fantastic organization that's doing really good work in the Sylvania area and the greater Lucas County area. So that's Saturday, August 29th. Thank you.
Was there also something about school supplies? Or?
Originally, yes, but unfortunately, that's not going to be able to happen in later September. So no school supplies this time.
So no school supplies, personal needs supplies. Okay.
Yeah,
good.
Personal needs and food. Yep.
And food, right. Okay, thank you, Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're coming up on a newsletter deadline, and to tell us about that, Joyce will bring us up to date.
Hello, everybody. The newsletter will be out next Monday. Just a little information on what's going to be coming out. Will be information from the Green Team regarding voting. The most recent cabinet notes will be out in the newsletter, and also there'll be an update from the COVID committee. So if you have anything you want to add, I would like to have it sent in typically by Mondays prior to the newsletter, but I have a little room, so if anyone has anything to add, they can. By tomorrow would be great. So have a good day.
And that goes out next Monday, right?
Yes, it'll go out Monday the 24th.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Now, to talk about worship is Mary. Bring us up to date on events that are occurring in worship service.
Yes. So as we all know, this coming Sunday is David's last Sunday with us. And so the things are in motion for that. But David asked me to address what happens after he leaves. And so on the 30th, Dan Bush, the area or sort of association minister, will be preaching. Then on September 6th, Vern's first Sunday, or Pastor Vern will be with us. And so that will be happening. And one of the parts of the updates from COVID is we have decided that to not hold in-person or parking lot or drive-in worship until after Pastor Vern gets here. So we are looking at options for September 13th for what we can do, but regardless of the level, just with other people preaching and Pastor Vern's first Sunday, we felt we needed to keep things stable. So that will be part of the update from the COVID committee in the newsletter. And before all this happens, in fact, before Sunday happens, is the Tuesday worship service that happens on Thursday. Typically, Tazay met at 7 on Thursday night, so we try to send out an email during the day on Thursday to provide the link to the service. You can worship at 7 as if you were worshiping in person, or you can worship at your convenience, time at your convenience.
Good. Okay, thank you, Mary. Last week, I interviewed Kristen a bit and she talked to us about her journey and beginning seminary and where that might be leading. And so today, so that you might better get to know your staff, we're going to talk with Mary a bit. Probably most of you are aware that Mary is an ordained minister, but she is also a lawyer. And I think she was a lawyer before she was a minister. And so we're going to have a discussion about her life journey and maybe begin with, how did you first get into law, Mary, as opposed to ministry?
Well, I tell people I sort of fell into law. I was babysitting an attorney's 7-year-old after school, and he found out I had some medical terminology background, and because he did work in Social Security law, he asked me to take a look at the cases. So it just developed into a legal assistant clerkship, and then I decided to get a degree to go with what I was doing during the day. And so it sort of fell that way because I think at the time I didn't really see a call to ordain full-time ministry.
Were you active in the church at that time, though?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. There was a small Baptist church, American Baptist Church in Oberlin. And so we very firmly believed every person was a minister. And so I was very involved with especially the ministry for the children and youth during that time.
Then you then began in law and particularly practiced Social Security law. I know you said because you really wanted to be able to be an advocate for people. But then how did you change and decide on ministry and to leave law and to go to seminary?
Well, I actually had moved to Toledo. I finished law school and moved to Toledo to open our office. So this was back in 93. I don't remember. And I actually did, of course, David was involved in First Baptist Church of Greater Toledo at that time. And I think after finishing law school and doing that work, I just had this sense like there's got to be more to life. And so I also started exploring issues around some issues of childhood abuse and such. And so that actually helped formulate a call to ministry.
You know, I'm curious, your background was American Baptist and it's now United Church of Christ, but you decided on a Methodist seminary, a very well-known and respected seminary, Duke Divinity School. I wonder how that choice came about.
Well, part of that was it was interesting because our mutual friend David Fry had just started attending there, and so it made me look at the place. And one of the things that Duke had to offer, but although really tangentially, is that in Durham, North Carolina, where Duke sits, is the Resource Center for Women in Ministry in the South. And that center had a program called Response, a religious response to violence against women and children. And since that was an area I was particularly interested in, I knew if I went to Duke, I would be able to do an internship at the Response program. And that is, in fact, what I did. But going to had I been Methodist, I might have understood that Duke was probably one of the most conservative liturgically of the Methodist schools. So in Duke life, it was sort of the Methodist and all the other denominations. So UCC, Episcopal, Baptist, we all sort of hung together because we weren't Methodist.
Yeah. Very good. Now, then you graduated from seminary, and what I wonder, after seminary, was seminary an influence on you in your faith formation and then your vocational journey after that? What role did seminary education play in the further development of your faith formation and your sense of call or ministry?
I think it played a significant role in helping me sort of articulate and really formulate what I felt was important in the faith journey. Because I was, the other thing about Duke is that it was probably one of the youngest average age seminarian student at the time. At that time, the average age for seminarians was probably the mid-30s. It's probably even higher now. But Duke's median age was 26. And so they were really focused on people who were just out of college. And so I was really struck by, I knew I'd kind of be an outsider for being Baptist, but it didn't occur to me I'd be an outsider for having life experience. And so, so that was sort of a different sort of take. And also just issues around inclusive language, around violence against women and children as it affects the church. It's sort of, I was confronted a lot, not confronted, but in discussions a lot with other people, and that helped build some strength to the calling.
Okay. Now, I don't know if everyone is aware, but right now you are both practicing law and serving in the church in a ministerial capacity. And I wonder, how's that working out?
Well, some days it works better than other days. My time theoretically is 5 hours a week at the church. That's theoretical because since the pandemic, it's been quite a bit more. But I've actually always done both at the same time. When I left seminary, I took a call as a minister with children and their families at a church in Raleigh. And from there, I became a solo pastor at a church in Illinois. And then I had adopted Rose. And so after that, I realized it was difficult to be a minister and a single parent at the same time. And so actually I did take a hiatus and did mostly law work at that time, but I've always been significantly involved in the church, even when doing ministry. And when I had my ministry jobs, I was still writing briefs for attorneys in Social Security disability.
I think it's amazing that you're doing both professions, truly. Now, on my screen, on my Zoom screen, Kristen is right next to you. And I wonder, do you have any advice you would give to Kristen, who is like in the middle of her seminary education and as she continues along?
Well, let's see. I could give her the advice my association minister gave to me when I headed to seminary. It's like, don't throw pearls before swines. Like, sort of learn what arguments are worth pursuing and passions are worth pursuing, and letting go of some of the things that, either you're not going to change someone's mind about, or it's just not the right time for. So, I guess that was kind of an odd thing for my area minister to tell me, but that's what I heard on the way to seminary. And I think it did help trying to sort of limit the battles, I guess, if that makes sense.
The one that was given to me, I like yours better, but mine was, it's inevitable that you're going to be crucified. Just make sure it's worth it, And when you do step back and consider, is it really worth it to win this argument or whatever? And a lot of times you realize it's not where you want to take your final stand, So kind of the same thing, I think. But Mary, thank you very much for sharing with us. And Kristen, thank you for sharing last week. It's And it's been delightful to work with with the three of you. It used to be the four of you, but Elaine is now in Tennessee, and we hope doing very well. Hopefully she tunes in occasionally and we can say hi to her. But I want to thank Joyce and Kristen and Mary for all the help that they have been during this time. When all of us started, it was pre-pandemic. We had no idea where events would be leading us. And we're all in a new world trying to navigate, but also hopefully trying to be helpful to a congregation and the people we minister with. And it's been wonderful to serve as your bridge pastor. And I certainly look forward to Vern being with us in the ministry he will provide for us. So thank you very much for joining us, and the Keeping in Touch videos will continue. So please remember to tune in next week also. Thank you. Bye.